Alright, so here we are. We are back, and we are back with some new tools after many changes in life. Ooh, that's gonna wiggle quite a bit, huh? If I do that, does it wiggle? Still wiggles. Man. Guess I gotta get a shock mount soon. Anyway, so we're back. What we have here is a soldering iron tip thermometer. So it's recently. I was recently turned on to this by Gary over at Roxolid Productions, and it seemed kind of crazy that this isn't one of the first things that a lot of people talk about or do, even in like beginner soldering tutorials and things like that I've watched. especially with the cheaper soldering irons like I was using. I do not have that with me currently, but I have since upgraded. And what this will do is allow you to calibrate your soldering iron based on what the readout says on the particular iron that you're using. So what I have upgraded to, can you guess? I'll give you a hint. It's recommended by Voltar. It's a KSGER T-12 Station. You can see I have not used it. Haven't even taken the delicious peel porn off. Alright, get out of here. And that's powered by your typical PC style power plug. So you probably have a lot of these laying around. It may or may not fit. I don't know if this is a standard used across a specific set of electronics or electrical devices. I should probably look that up, but I didn't, and here we are. I've also, that iron, by the way, at least the one that I got from Amazon, or rather, Mama Makes and Mods bought for me for Christmas, came with 2 T12 handles for whatever reason, and they'll just screw right in with that port there. Just realized I'm off camera. I'm not sure what that's called, but it's a 5-pin, 5-pin DIN style. I don't know if that's the correct term, but that's what it looks like to me. This setup I already had from the previous videos. It's a Delcast iron stand using KSGER. Ooh, it doesn't say. Oh yeah, it does. It's down there. I don't really feel like taking that off, but it's not a big deal. So you can see it's KSGER 0.8 millimeter. I don't know what that 3.3 is. I don't know if that's like the rosin in there. But that's the model I'm using. Definitely been liking it a lot better than the cheap stuff that came with my previous iron. Got my order of operations messed up here. There we go. And then just one of these guys. It is a little brass sponge holder. Just pops right out. And you can see it catches the little soldering iron bits that you, or solder bits you scrape off your iron. This one has a magnet on it, so it sticks right to this. and this one is made out of metal, so be careful which ones you buy. A lot of the ones, in fact the one that I had in my cart before I purchased this was plastic, and that seems like a terrible idea for an iron. And then this thing just adjusts to whatever position you like. Set that right over here. And I got some tips along with the KSGER iron. So I got the T12 D16, and this is listed as a soldering tip shape 1.6D. And these you can tell I have not used, they're all unopened. And that's the shape of it. So you can see it's sort of conical until the end, and then it just chops the end off, essentially a 90-degree angle. And on the iron, or on the shaft, it says T12 D16, just like the package did. And we got a T12 JL02. The tip shape is 0.2 JL. This is the one that I'm most excited about. You can see it's a J style tip. So it's got that arched J shape. And I have not used one of these, but from watching Voltar and several other people use them, basically the benefit is this belly here. Where's my finger? This belly here is thicker, and it allows you to absorb more heat faster. And then this smaller tip here is better, or can be better, for finer pitch soldering. And then I had to do it to them and get a T12K tip. It's a K shape. I don't even know what that means, do it to them with a K tip, but sounds good, right? K tip, they're often referred to as knife tips. So you can see it's, again, got a really fat belly towards the bottom, kind of looking like a walrus or something. But then it's got that slanted edge, and it's cut at an angle. And what's nice about the T12 standard is you can loosen up the collar right here, and you just slide the tip down until it hits that little lip right there, and you just tighten your tip down. Or at least theoretically. Again, I haven't used it, so I could be doing something wrong. Oh, I bet you gotta take this off. Do you? Let me see. Oh, okay. So that goes all the way down there. This goes, yeah, okay. So you gotta take that collar off. It allows you to slide it all the way down. Set that collar back on there. Tighten it down. Finger tight should be fine, but if you want, you can just use a small pair of pliers. Just give it a little final turn there. And there's your tip. It's not going anywhere. It's in there nice and solid, nothing's spinning. At least in the past, sorry, I dropped my tool. In the past, I have not been a fan of these D-tips. I don't have a ton of experience with soldering, but it just seems like you can do what you can do with a D-tip with several other style tips. And like I said, I'm excited about using a J-tip like this. So they do make J-tips, from what I've seen anyway, with different thickness bellies or barrels there. I don't know how well this one's going to work for what I want, but it's one that I am excited to use, so that's the one we're going to calibrate today. Just give it a nice final little turn. Ooh, excuse me. I beg your pardon. Set that over there. Get this out of the way. Pull the KSGER up. So, okay, there is a notch up top there. So you can see it is keyed right above my fingertip. And that will correspond with that notch right there on the right. Can you see that little channel? Okay, that slid right in there nicely, nice and smooth. Same thing, I'm just going to give it a little extra love. Just a little, not even a quarter of a turn, an eighth of a turn. This is aluminum, by the way. Build quality feels really nice. The dial has positive stops. Kind of like a second hand. Feels nice. Feels like plastic on that knob, but whatever, feels nice. This cord seems relatively high quality. Valtar says it's pretty much all he's been using since he got them is he uses 2 of these KSGER T-12s, even though he has Hako equipment and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. And he knows a lot more about that stuff than I do, so it's good enough for him. It's probably good enough for me. Probably going to be a huge advantage coming from the cheap little Amazon kit I got. It was like $13 for the whole kit, and it came with the iron, which was technically adjustable, but it didn't have like a digital display or even an analog display. It was just writing, and you just spun this little tiny dial on the iron itself, and it just didn't seem to be that accurate. There were many times where I would turn it up on that dial where it said, I don't know, 50 degrees or so, and it didn't seem like it changed much. And then if I turned it up to like max, because which I think was 450 degrees Celsius, because what I was attempting to do just wasn't working, it seemed like that delta between what I was on, which is typically like 350 to 450, was more like a delta from like 350 to 650 or something. It seemed pretty inaccurate, and it just wasn't comfortable to use. This is much more comfortable to hold with this little like rubberized grip. This handle's plastic, but so is the other one, and I don't think it had a rubberized grip. Alright, so with this kit, again, it's the FG100 soldering iron tip thermometer temperature tester 0 to 700. Not exactly sure what that means. Just a nondescript brown box here. I got this off of AliExpress, I think. I can't remember. Or no, actually, I think it was my first order off Banggood. So this is the meter itself. I thought that was dust, but it's actually like a texture. It's textured like the plastic. That's a weird design choice. So you can see it's a thermometer, and it has these 3 points here. And those points are which you attach these pieces of wire to. These conflabbed little bags. All right. So you get this guy here. It has those 3 points, and then in the middle you can see there's a little, can I use this to point? Yeah. There's a little metal pad there in the middle, and then a red and a blue, I don't know what that is, it just looks like tape or something, side to it. And you're essentially, I'm assuming they're color coded for a reason. Let me see if I can zoom you in here. Sorry, I decided to start using OBS, and I'm really liking it. And for my phone, instead of, this is a new phone by the way, it's a OnePlus 8T. The other phone I was using was the LG G5, and then switched to the LG G6. So it's quite a big upgrade. And the app I'm using is DroidCam X, so that I can cast it to my computer, my monitors, which are off to the left there, so I can actually see what I'm recording. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was trying to zoom. Oh yeah, I can zoom. Okay. So there's a red and a blue here. I'm gonna assume that I can just rest this on there. Okay, that slides down. There's no battery in there yet. It does come with a battery, which is nice. Wow, this is quite tight. Oh, you can kind of pull it a little bit. Okay. Sorry, I know my fat fingers are in the way, but just gonna have to deal with it for a second. So you can kind of stretch this wire a little bit. There we go. So I got one side on the blue side, one side on the red side. And this, you're gonna have to tilt down or slide down. There we go. Alright, so like I said, the battery's not in there, but it did come with one. Just a super cheap Paco or Paco, although it apparently is super heavy duty, so no skimping on quality there. Probably not advised, but you know what could happen? What's the worst that could happen? So how have you guys been? Been good? Been bad? and staying happy and healthy and safe, like Switchforce recommends. I hope so. Alright, so before I put the battery in, I'm going to do the unmanly thing. Get off me. The anti-masculine thing. At least that's what I'm led to believe. And that's check out the included instructions. So it's been a while since I watched Gary's video. Probably a couple months at this point. So just as a refresh, I'm going to look at these. So you got step 1, or listing 1, packaging list and part names. So you have your main body, your 9-volt manganese dry battery, 10 pack of sensors, instruction manual, and then on the LCD itself, or on the tool itself, you have your max hold button, your LCD, your power off button, and your blind plate. Specifications, you can pause and read those if you like. I don't know that they're all that relevant, but safety notice. While using the thermometer to measure temperature of an iron tip or desoldering nozzle, pay great attention to temperature of the tip nozzle. Be as high as 200 to 400 degrees Celsius. That's 392 to 842 degrees Fahrenheit. Careless handling of such a hot object may result in burn or fire. Operation, okay. So open the battery cover and insert the battery in the correct direction. Attach the sensor. Press the push button to move the slide pin down to the thermal side while moving down to the slide pin. Attach a sensor to the slide pin and thermals by connecting the red connector of the sensor to the red terminal and the blue connector to the blue terminal. And then the back, some more cautions. You can see the measuring point is in the middle of the sensor where that little pad is. 3, it says turn on power. When the room temperature appears on the LCD, the thermometer is ready for measurement. Notes, pressing the power button for a short time may result in failure to turn on. Step 4, wet the soldering iron tip with solder and put the tip on the measuring point. Auto shut off. So it'll automatically shut off after about 3 minutes. Max hold. When pressing the hold button or max hold button, max hold is displayed at the lower right of the LCD. As long as the max hold button appears, the maximum temperature will stay displayed. Short pressing the max hold button updates the max temperature. Short pressing means the button be pressed for less than 1 second. Long pressing the button with max hold display cancels the max hold function. Long pressing means the button is pressed for 1 second or longer. And you got some replacement parts. Okay. So if I remember correctly, the way it works is excuse me. I'm kind of tired here. If I remember correctly, you set the temperature on this, on the thermometer, and then, excuse me, use that as a registration point for your iron, and you adjust the temperature on your iron until it reads what the thermometer is reading. I think that's how it's supposed to be. It may be the reverse. I think we'll figure it out as we're playing with it. So in here, back just slides up, pops right off. It's one of these doohickeys. So in case you're unfamiliar, the big tab goes on the little post, little tab goes in the big post. Kind of like that. And just gotta kind of shove her in. Don't really like how that fits in there, but appears to be alright. Shouldn't have to worry about anything shorting because it's plastic. Here we go. Come up here. Zoom out a little bit. This way you can see both. What about if I take this to bounce the light? Is that better? Maybe. So it says 28.4. Well, maybe that's better. Yeah, it looks like it's just better that way. Not if I get it closer. Can turn the light. Yeah, let me tilt the studio light up a little bit. Hopefully you can't hear too much of that, but my dog's barking in the background. Somebody honked a horn, which he didn't like. Oh, what do you know? It's the UPS guy. Alright. So it's a little less bright. I could probably play with that in post. But it looks like you can see the screen better, and that's more important. Alright, so a temperature. How do we do this? I don't know if this mic on my Corsair headset will pick up the noise from the fan. I hope it doesn't. It doesn't seem to be, so that's good. From the fume extractor. So there's not really so again, it says attach a sensor, press the button to move the slide down. Okay, that's just attaching the sensor. Turn the power on, temperature displays, it's ready. So there you go, 28.1 Celsius. Wet the soldering iron tip with solder and put it to the measuring point. Do not bring the hot iron tip into contact with the plastic body, slide pin, and terminals of the meter. Doing so will damage them. Measuring point of the sensor generally undergoes degradation as a result of repeated measurement activities. It is recommended that the sensor be replaced every 50 measurements. Okay, seems like you get a lot for what you pay for. The terminals are contaminated with soldering flux. Wipe them clean with alcohol. Do not use a thinner or benzene for cleaning. operation. Here we go. It doesn't really give you instructions on how to use it. It just tells you like what the buttons do. Doesn't give you like order of operations, like what do you do with your iron, etc. And then this is the other one. It's mostly in what appears to be Chinese on that side and English on this side. But even this one, it just looks like the same shit. Yeah, it's literally the same information, just in a bigger fold out. So that's interesting, I guess. Alright, so we'll turn on the iron itself. Okay, turn the iron on for the first time and it appears nothing happened. So that seems to imply that it's not plugged in, which it's not. Bravo. Alright, now she's plugged in. There we go. Just took a second. So you can see it's bouncing around and throwing errors. Wonder if that's because I'm plugged into like a little APC surge protector. I don't really know. So this went off. So it's moving around less now. Still moving around though. You can see it reads the ambient temperature as 28 degrees. This says 28.5, so that's pretty close. That's good. Set to 300 degrees, and it's reading somewhere around that. So let's get some of this good stuff on the tip. Okay, so we got some solder on the tip there. You can see it coming off. And then we're going to touch it to the iron here, and you can see, or the thermometer here, you can see it's reading 250 when it's supposed to be at 300. So if I set so 250 again. Okay, I'm going to clean the tip. Put a little bit more solder on it. Just so I can set it over here. In the metal casing. And then I'm going to adjust this down. So now it's set to 250. You can see it's showing my J series J02 tip as well. And the room temperature went up to 30 degrees Celsius. You can see on the meter it's 29, so it's pretty close. Tool back out of the way. Alright, so that beep seems to be telling me that it's close enough. Plus or minus 10%, 12%. Pull this out, clean the tip, apply some more solder. Okay. And then I'm going to touch it. So now it's reading 230, 232. If I try to get the thickest part of the belly on there, 238. Again, this is set to 250. What about the tip? So you can see right there, I tilted it up and now it's just a thin tip and it dropped 25 degrees. I go back to the belly. 235, 236. Interesting. Put a very thin coating back on here just so it's not stored with nothing on it. Alright, so I don't know how to adjust this for like an offset. I know there's a way to do that. I just don't remember how. Standby, sleep, boost, cold end, tip. Oh, I think you're supposed to set the tip first. So this is a J series and it's a 02. So you can see all these options in here. J02. Okay. So I clicked it once to select it and then I held it to go back. Let's see if it's still selected. Okay, so you can see on the left here, sort of. See on the left there, it's 32 is highlighted. Even if I move the selector, that's the one that's selected. So again, I'm going to hold to go back. Stepping, password, screensaver. Let's boost. Boost setup, temp, 50 degrees, in 5 minutes. I don't know what that means, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. Cold end. Oops. So I'll hold the knob, press it in and hold it to get back to the setup menu. Press it to select something. So mode is NTC, temperature is 31 degrees Celsius. I don't think that's where I want to be. Stepping. 5-degree increments. Let's go to 2 degrees. So now if I turn this, okay, that goes right into boost. So it doesn't change this. That's interesting. Let's boost. Lowest is 10. And it said 5 minutes, so wonder what that means. Alright, so if I turn it 1 click left, goes down to 5 at the lowest, 11 at the highest. I turn it right, 1 click, 5 at the lowest, 11 the highest. Okay, so that doesn't seem to do anything really. Now it goes into boost, which says 310. Interesting. So that's just like a boost, so you can get a quick extra 10 degrees, I suppose. I don't know why you would want to do that. Alright, so remember it's set to 300 on the KSGER unit. Go back to the iron. Add some more solder. Turn this back on. We're reading 277, 278. And again, just to show you, it's set to 300. So that offset is what we're trying to make up here with this sensor, and I'm not sure how to do it because it's been a while since I watched Gary's video, and he was the only video that I watched. His was the only video. So could go back and check with him. By that I mean the video. I don't know him and he doesn't know me, I'm sure. Or I could just play around the settings menu a little bit longer. Standby do. Shake temp. Switch, manual, auto. Just leave that by default. Sleep 30 time or 30 minute. That seems fine. Temp stepping, let's go 1 degree Celsius. See if that changes anything. Low volt protect, I'm going to leave that alone. RTC adjust. I don't know what that means. I'm going to leave that alone. I think for now I'm just going to exit. It seems like turning it once, twice, 3 times turns on boost, and then once turns it off. And then turning it 3 times left turns it to standby mode. Alright. I'm going to pause the recording and I'm going to check. Well, actually, the way I have it set up, if I play Gary's video, I don't know. Oh yeah, that was my desktop. Yeah, I'm going to pause the recording. Alright, so I'm glad I did that because Gary taught me a couple other things from that video, and I'll link that video in the description below. But he taught me a couple other things about the iron itself. So I was pressing down and holding until it got me into the menu, correct? Right? That's what you're supposed to do to get into the menu. But in the menu, I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to adjust the offset, okay, or the delta. So if you push the knob in and turn it right, it allows you to go to your tip selection. You can see ours started off at the J02, and I believe that's because the J02 is already selected. I don't think it starts in the J's. That'd be kind of weird. And then you could just use the knob to turn to whatever tip you wanted. Again, I want the J02, so I'm going to choose it. He also mentions that this 0 here means that it's uncalibrated. He says that if it's 0 or 1, it means it's uncalibrated, and an asterisk means it's calibrated. So we're going to calibrate it. To get into the calibration menu, you're going to push the dial in and spin it to the left. You can see it says tip adjust. We're going to click start. What it's going to do is it's going to choose a temperature. Right now it's bouncing all over the place. I'm going to turn this fan off behind me so it's more accurate. That was just a fan to cool me down. So the current temp and the real temp is where the delta comes in play. So the real temp, my iron right now is set to 450. Why it's jumping around so much, I'm not entirely sure. I might have done something wrong, so let me hold this. Okay. So I'm going to get out of the menu. I'm going to set my iron temperature. Set it to 450, which is about where my real temp said. Hold that. Now again, to get into the calibration menu, I'm going to push down and turn left. Start. I'm going to clean my tip here. This is off, don't worry about that. So you know what? This is still jumping around a lot. And it wasn't jumping, 30, 50 degrees. Like that in his video. So I'm going to pause recording and go check that out again. Maybe I missed something. Alright, so his video is about, 15 minutes long or something. By the way, he reminded me this was about $15 from Banggood. That's about how much I paid too. But there wasn't anything in his video about my current issue. But you can see that my set and the current seem to be a lot closer and a lot more stable. What I did was I went into the menu and I went down to RTC adjust and RTC inish and inish. So I clicked on inish and it gives you the option to confirm or cancel. So I just did this, I'm not going to do it again, but I scrolled up to confirm and clicked that. Actually, I'll just do it to show you. So I click confirm, I want English, and it says please wait, and that's what it does. So I don't know what that does or what that means. And then I did RTC inish, same thing, confirm, please wait. Okay. In sysinfo, I did see that there are hardware and software versions. I'm not sure how to adjust those, but I'm just going to go back again. Oop. Long pressing. So you can see it's a lot more, it seems a lot more stable now. Now how about if I go into the calibration menu again, start, see it's bouncing around a lot. His did not do that. His was like 472, 473. Never adjusted more than 1 degree. Mine's adjusting about 40 degrees. So what I think could be happening I'm just going to hold this to escape. Maybe if I hold this and turn left and then go to initial adjust, confirm. Let's see what that does. Give it a second to stabilize. And as always, if you guys know what's going on, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, feel free to let me know in the comments below or to the side, wherever the comments are in this particular video platform. Alright, so it dropped down to the set temperature within a degree or so. So again, press in, turn left, tip adjust, start. Now let's see if it stabilizes. So it does say adjust point 452. I think what it's trying to do is adjust to 452 degrees Celsius. And then once it's there is when I'm supposed to calibrate my tip. So again, forgive me if you hear the dogs. Probably just got a package. Still bouncing around 30 degrees or so. What I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try the calibration process again and see what happens this time. So I'm going to clean my tip. Still using the J tip, by the way. Just add in some solder here. Okay. And again, I'm on the belly of the tip, where it should be the hottest point. So it seems to be about 391, 392. But what it's set to, again, is supposed to be 450. Something like that. You see it's still bouncing around. So you can see it's up to 393. It seems to be where it stopped. Mine's still reading that. So I'm going to adjust the real temp all the way down to 392. Just like that. Push the button. And what you'll see is it starts to drop and change temperatures. And now we're much more solid. See, that's only drifting about 4 degrees. Maybe 5 or 6 degrees there now. So we're going to clean the tip again. Add some fresh solder. Just trying to make sure I get good heat transfer. And right now, you can see it's set to about 357. Okay. And what's mine set to? Set the tip on the iron. Mine's at 327. $329, so I'm going to adjust that down. To $329. Push the button in again. Clean the tip. what you'll see is it'll give you a third temperature. Kind of just want to wait a minute till it seems to stabilize. It's still dropping. Just adding a little bit of solder off camera here. Alright, so 254. What are we at? You see how each time we're much closer. 244. Just going to hold this iron here for a couple seconds and see where it spends the most time. Seems to be about 244. So I'm going to adjust this again. Put the iron back. So you can see I adjusted it down to 244. That should be the last test. So when you click the button in, it'll take you back to the main menu. And you see now I got the calibrated asterisk. That should be it, folks. Now you'll see the set number and the current temp number are not exactly the same. But you can see it's dropping down to 300 degrees. It's also much more stable. So I think that's it. So that's just an introduction to the new equipment. Again, I got the new camera. It's the OnePlus 8T. I got the temperature tester. This is as old as sin, but it's pretty functional. Just a relatively standard set. I think it was like 16 bucks on Amazon or something when I got it forever ago. I was just using that to bounce light. And a now calibrated KSGER T-12 stand, or T-12 station. The camera up above here is on a boom arm, you can see. That's a new piece of equipment I just got. I also started a podcast with my buddy Josh. The podcast is called Conversation Quests. That's conversation and then quests, an S at the end. And, I definitely welcome you guys over there. It's going to be, the subtext to it, the subtitle to it is your podcast for all the things, or your podcast for everything. Basically a variety show where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. We share a lot of things in common, so there'll be a lot of similar topics that we're interested in pursuing, such as technology and privacy rights and right to repair and gaming. And our first episode is up now. It's on content creation and both of our individual pursuits towards that goal of content creation, as well as what led us to the podcast itself. So definitely come by, come check it out. We're pretty much dedicated to a weekly schedule at this point. Recording date is going to be Mondays, and some of them will be live streams, some of them will maybe not, but either way, a potentially edited VOD or video on demand version will be available shortly after the live stream. So again, it's Conversation Quests. We have a Twitch, we have a YouTube, Facebook, all kinds of stuff. The information will be in the videos for sure. And go check out my buddy Josh. his Sin Schism on Twitch. That's SINSCHISM. Go check him out, show him some love. Tell him I sent you. Again, this is Makes and Mods, and I'd like to welcome you all back here next time to help me make, modify, and motivate in the future, right here on Makes and Mods. Have a good one.